Hey everybody, welcome back to Auto Scholar with Mr. B. I'm Mr. B, and today we are looking at this 2010 Toyota Prius. It's a Gen 3 Prius, and we are doing the valve cover gasket on this car. So I had this car in, I was doing a brake actuator, which I have a video on, I'll post above, but I noticed the valve cover gasket has been leaking oil, so I talked to the customer, and they said to go ahead and replace it while we're in. So I got the valve cover gasket from the Toyota dealership. And unfortunately, when they sent it to me, it didn't have the seals for the spark plug holes. So that's obviously an issue. And so I ended up getting a Felpro set for $32 from my local O'Reilly's Auto Parts. And I'm going to show you how to put that set on now. So if you like this video, go ahead and give it a like. And of course, subscribe to the channel if I taught you anything. So let me go ahead and take you over here to the car and I'll show you what we got going on. Okay, so here is our engine. Now what I have done, since I had to do this already for the brake actuator job that I'm doing, I went ahead and took the wiper cowl, wiper assembly and everything out of the way. This is going to give you more space to move around in here and get this done. Now I don't know if it's necessary for you to do that if you're just doing the valve cover gasket, but it only takes a few minutes and it opens up this whole space back here for you to work in. So valve cover gasket on this, first thing you want to do is make sure, if you have the airbox off or anything like that, make sure you plug everything up. I just use paper towels here to plug the holes, and I sprayed this off really good with compressed air just to get any dirt, dust, anything that's on the valve cover. I don't want that falling inside the engine, so I went ahead and just gave it a quick clean. Now once I get this valve cover off, I'm going to clean the valve cover itself away from the engine. So you don't have to get this thing super clean. I just don't want anything falling in there into the engine and possibly contaminating the inside of the engine. So first thing we're going to do is unplug these coils here. Now these coils, you have a black, gray plug right here. So it's really not that difficult. They're not going to get out of order. So you just press on the tab and pull forward. This one's a little stuck. There we go. And so you want to unplug your variable valve timing solenoid here. And what we're doing, we're just kind of folding this out of the way. We got a lot more stuff to unplug. We need to take our 10 millimeters out of here and go ahead and pull our coils. Okay, now we're going to take these ground straps off right here. Also, it's a really good idea just to go ahead and pull your service plug and disconnect your battery for this repair. You know, we are going to be kind of getting into this area, so you don't want to, you know, bump into some of the high voltage wiring. And also, you know, of course, keep your key away from the vehicle. You don't want the car starting, anything like that. So go ahead and prepare to make the car safe. Take this ground strap off here. And you may want to take a picture of this before you start, because, you know, that way you'll know exactly where everything goes. So just snap a picture with your phone real quick. I'm going to take off this ventilation hose right here that goes to the intake. It's part of your PCV system. Pull that back with some pliers. Just very gently give it a tug. It should come right off. Go ahead and get these ground straps off right here. I always leave my oil cap on, that way nothing falls down into the engine. Now that's free. We'll just pull that and stick it underneath here so it doesn't get in the way. Go ahead and get the coils out of the way. And there's another strap back here. All these are 10 millimeters. Mostly everything you see is going to be 10 millimeter, except for a couple of things. You have a bracket right here. You can either pull this off or you can just loosen this up like that. You just pull, there's a tab behind here. Just pull that, rock this up and get it out of the way, and you don't even have to take those tabs off. Now we're gonna go over here. Now this is broken on mine. This has been into a couple of times, but again, we're just trying to get this loose. You have a sensor right here. We'll unplug this just like that. Zoom in a little bit. And we need to get this out of the way. So this is already broken here actually. And this is unplugged. Move this, pull up, and unplug our cam sensor. It's right here. You get a little pick to unplug that. There we go. That was a little bit difficult to unplug there. I just used the pliers to pretty much remove the detent there. That's on your cam sensor here. You're gonna have to kind of work around this wiring and kind of work the valve cover out and then work it back in. So there's really nowhere for this wiring to go. There's a lot of unplugging. You can unplug the injectors and everything and lay everything over, but really we can work around this. So you do have a bolt right here. We have to take off with this crossover pipe for our evap system. And that's a 12 millimeter. We'll just move this bracket off to the side. I'll unplug it from the purge valve. We'll work it up and out from under this wiring. Push it off. And there is a bolt right here. Looks like a 12 millimeter that we'll have to take off. This is just a bracket for the EGR system. We'll go ahead and remove that wrench here. And now I believe we are ready to pull the bolts for the valve cover. We'll go ahead and get that done. And these are 10 millimeters. I'm just going to follow around the edges here. We'll go ahead and take the cam sensor off as well. That way it doesn't get damaged. Quite a few of these bolts. I'm taking these off with a power tool, but don't put them back on this way. You want to put them on by hand. Now these center bolts are different, so be careful with them. It's only got one center bolt. Now very careful. Let me get in here and see if we can pry this up. Be very careful with the mating surfaces. We'll have a little bit of a seal on here. And then we are just going to kind of move everything around to where we can pull this out. There we go. Okay, so valve cover is off. There's a couple of things I'm going to go over real quick before I clean this up and go to put this back on. You have these seals right here. They are pressed in, they're press fit. I'm going to show you how to take those out in a minute. They come out this way, but they are held in by these little tabs here. And these little tabs are part of this oil baffle here. And you just want to take a pair of pliers or something and bend those up out of the way like I have this one here. You just take your pair of needle nose or something and just bend those slightly up. You don't want to break them off or anything. And then when we get done, we're going to tap those back down with a hammer. But also, you have your gasket here, it fits in this valley. Make sure that you lay out your gasket before you just start putting it in there, and make sure it fits the shape of this valve cover. You also have a gasket here, okay? This is a little grommet, and you want to put this on the cylinder head side and then put your valve cover gasket on top of it. So this is a system that plumbs directly into the oil pressure line on the cylinder head. And you have these little squirters right here, these little tubes down here, have little nozzles, and they almost work like sprinkler heads. And they deposit fresh oil, pressurized oil, on top of the rockers to keep them lubricated as the camshaft's turning over. So you definitely want to make sure that all this is cleaned out, everything's clean good. So, you know, hit these holes up with your brake cleaner, make sure all those are cleaned out. It's going to help your longevity as far as keeping the oil and everything on top of the camshafts. Also, we have our 3 holes here. This is for our solenoid for our oil pressurized cam timing system, okay? So you have a little gasket here. I'm not going to tell you what it looks like, but you'll see it. It's on the cylinder head. It doesn't come with the gaskets, so you'll need to buy that separately if you want to replace that. But make sure that it doesn't stick to the cylinder head, stick to the valve cover, and it's in good shape there. So let's go ahead and I'm going to show you how to get these out right here. We'll go ahead and just bend all these tabs up at a 90-degree angle so we can go ahead and drive these seals out. Okay, so there's 2 different ways you can do this. I'm going to show you the way that I'm going to do it. You can take you a good-sized screwdriver, pry bar, something like that. You want to get underneath the seal and press down, and your seal is going to fly across the shop, and that will get it out. You don't want to scratch this area in here. You want to make sure you just catch the lip of the seal and just pop it out this way. You can also flip it over if you want to go this way and drive it out with a hammer. But I normally find it pretty easy to do it just the way that I showed you. So again, I'm going to show you one more time. Safety glasses, everybody. And you just want to gentle pressure on this, and it'll just pop out. And so you want to do all 4. And now, once I get this other one out, I'll show you how to put the new ones in. Okay, so I'm going to take my seal, get you a little oil. You want to lightly lubricate the seal oil. Now they go in this way, okay? So you want to make sure you take them out the same way you put them in. So the face of the seal is going to go this way. And you're going to work it in. And then I take an 1.25 inch socket here, and I'm going to put the edge of the seal. I've got a piece of wood under here. That way I'm bracing the part, and I'm making sure that I'm not damaging the valve cover. And I just gently kind of work it in. So it goes all the way in. Slow is good. You want to center it up just right. And you can tell when you get it all the way in, it won't move anymore. This is kind of the most aggravating part of the job, but once it's home, that's it. So what you're going to do, you're going to take this and bend this back down. Just like Toyota had it. So you want to do all 4 of those, and we'll be ready to reinstall. Okay, got the valve cover cleaned up. Got the gasket on. On the back end, that seal, just lay it out flat. Make sure that it follows the outline of the valve cover. And you have this bolt right here that goes through the top. It has a grommet on it. We're going to take a grommet out of our kit here and replace that. And then after that, we can go ahead and slide this thing back in and get it back together. Okay, so we got everything back together. Just a couple of tips on reassembly. You just want to kind of slide this under everything and make sure that when you get your gasket, it doesn't slide off. It should fit pretty tight in that hole that the slot that goes all the way around. But just make sure, you want to get a good look around everything and make sure that gasket hasn't slipped. And make sure that when you're putting your bolts and everything back in, all the valve cover bolts are going to be the same size, same length. And there's a couple of other bolts that hold your grounds on and stuff like that. They're a little bit different size. And so you don't want to put one of those long valve cover bolts into one of these holes to where, you may end up driving it too deep and cracking the valve cover. So that's just a tip real quick. Just make sure that the bolts go back to where they came from. And here's your wiring, black, gray, black, gray. So you shouldn't be able to swap these around. All the rest of the fittings and everything pretty much fit the same way. They're not going to you can't swap them or mix them up. And after that, just clean off your valve cover, make sure it's good and clean. You don't want any residual oil causing any smell or anything like that going to the customer. Now, when you crank up the vehicle, you may end up getting some oil smell, and that's just from you cleaning the valve cover in the area off, and maybe some of that oil runs down to the exhaust manifold. That's normal. It should burn off in a couple of miles when you drive the vehicle, and shouldn't pose a problem after that. This is a pretty easy job. It's something that pretty much anybody can do in their driveway with just basic hand tools. Really a 10, 12, and 14 millimeter socket's really all you need to get this out. And with a little elbow grease, you can clean up the valve cover. It'll look pretty, even though you really won't see it once all the engine covers are on. Just take pride in your work and make sure you get everything clean. Okay, everybody, so we're finished up. Again, with this job, it's a little tedious. Just take your time. If you got this job finished, I'm proud of you. Let me know in the comments how it went. Also, if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments. I try to answer all my questions pretty regularly. It's with teaching and everything else, I don't have a whole lot of time, but I do try to get in the comments and answer when I can. Also, like the video if it taught you anything, of course, subscribe to the channel. I have a whole channel full of Prius videos, and I'm planning to make more. Matter of fact, as soon as I finish this one, I'm starting on another one on this car on the air conditioning system. So that'll be up probably a week after I post this one. And I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, VK, and I post a lot of stuff there that I can't really post in the on my YouTube channel. So check me out there, and I post a lot of good content on there. And as always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on Auto Scholar with Mr. B.